Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Naya Salmabariko. That's Hindustani for the same thing.
I love that.
Yeah, I do
Hey, so,
too.
so speaking of that, were there traditions when you were growing up in India around the New Year and New Year's Eve?
Oh, yeah, we would have a sort gathering in our living room and do whatever we were doing at that time of the year. And Katie, this last year, in 103 years, I've never had a year like this last year. Never. And the reason is that this kind of, Katie, you started it when you started our um, Instagram, and that was 3 years ago, wasn't it?
I think yes. I think yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, yeah, and that has grown into this amazing community of people who um, are wanting to talk to each other and wanting to talk to us, and we're talking to them. Boy, I'm telling you, I never, in my wildest dreams, could not have thought, this would ever happen. And tomorrow, I'm going to talk to a lady from Turkey. You know, things like that that just, oh my.
Yeah. 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 And as I said earlier to you, I feel like the word that came to my mind in regards to you for this year was just this massive expansion.
Oh,
And the way that you speak about it makes me feel like it's an expansion of your heart, it's an expansion of your gratitude. You're just like you've you've become bigger. Your energy has become bigger over the course of the year as your book came out, as more people signed on. Like it's just been so fun to watch.
well, Katie, you're right, because we've been feeding off of the energy of each other all around the world. And I never imagined such a thing happening. I mean, the wars happen and people kill each other all over the world, but to have our love and our concern and our uh, future humanity reaching for itself around the world is something that is just divinely orchestrated and moving. And this next year is just, I think, is going to continue the same thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that you have started this momentum that has been gained throughout the year is just going to keep going.
A fascinating thing, there's so many personal connections that happen all around, but a personal connection of mine is that Diane Ladd and Laura Dern, her daughter, published a book, and it's doing the same thing. It's a New York Times bestseller, and people are responding to it. And the the wonderful thing about that is that Diane and I have the same birthday, not the same year, but the same birthday. And so apparently the energy that we came in on when we were born was the same, was sort of the same energy
Right.
that was preparing us to do the thing that we're doing now. And Diane and her daughter's book is going all around the world, and here we are with our book doing the same thing. So there's the amazing. I call them coinky dinkies. They're more than coincidences. They're things that happen in life, and when you begin to pay attention to them, it's awesome. It's
And
just awesome.
didn't you also say that their book, because you're listening to it, kind of has a similar message as your book, only said from their, obviously, from their viewpoint and their lens?
Right. it's I told her we're singing the same song. You know, it's there's a message here that is shared by humans. The whole aspect of humanity wanting to feel that it's love that we're looking for, and not differences, and not fighting. And that's going to happen because it happens. But what we're looking for is the real inner core of our being that says we're all the same. We're the people in this world. Diane and I happen to have the same birthday, and we do the same thing, and look at what's happened. But all of us are human beings, and we have the divine privilege of taking care of the earth and taking care of each other.
Mm.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And
I think,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I think it'd be wonderful to hear from our audience if they have anything that they would like to share from the last year or the coming one.
Right, like what they're most grateful for in the last
Yeah,
year, or
yeah,
what people might be letting go of,
yeah.
and sort of releasing and stepping forward into new possibility, new intention, new inspiration, that kind of thing. I mean, I will say what I am stepping into is just expanding, expanding the art medicine programs that I'm teaching. And thank you again for letting me post my retreat on your Instagram page that I am leading next weekend, the weekend of the 13th. Um, so that kind of thing, and stepping out in a way that feels uncomfortable because I've never done that before, and kind of
Isn't
stepping
it wonderful? Oh,
out in such a big way of getting on Instagram and never having done that before, and doing interviews all over the place and podcasts all over the place. I mean, you have really stepped out into new territory this year in such a big way.
oh, in my wildest dreams, I couldn't have imagined this. It's that kind of a ongoing life process that got started and it's continuing. So it's that kind of a living process where life itself creates life, and life has to move, and life has to be reaching for something, and if it gets stuck, it dies. But if it doesn't get stuck, look at what
Right.
happens.
Right. And I think the fun thing too, I mean, there's one thing to have an intention moving forward, but sometimes when we're well, this goes both ways, because some people would say that you want to be really specific about what you want going forward. But I also think, like, you could have never predicted
No,
this. So having an intention that's a little more like expansion, or something that's a little, so that you can allow that possibility to step in, because you would limit yourself if you tried to imagine how you would have expanded your voice this year. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And when I listen to the stories and the questions that come from people around the world, they're the same thing. You know,
Mm.
we're all human beings looking for that inner uh, peace and understanding about what life's all about. It reminds me of a story about my dad. When my dad, went out to India in 1914, it was just the end of World War One, and they went out to India and carrying their message of love and hope that, from our Christian point of view, to the people of India. Now they knew nothing, but they had never been to India. They didn't know that. But at one point, my dad had to go farther into the jungle, and he was going to go by himself. So he had some coolies who were carrying the luggage to take into the where they were going, and it was going to take a 3-day journey to get there. So they took the 3 days, and the coolies carried the work and so on. And on the fourth day, my dad, he's from America, and you do things when you plan them, and there's you go. But the coolies were just sitting there. And he came out and he said, "Well, now come on, we have to go. It's time to go." And the coolies are just sitting there on the ground, just doing nothing that he could see. And finally he said, "We really have, this is the fourth day. We really have to move. We have to go." And the head coolie said, "Sahib," he said, "we've come a 3-day journey. That means that we left our souls a 3-day journey back. And we have to sit here and wait until our souls catch up to us."
Wow.
And my dad said to himself, "Whoa, what a lesson." And he sat down with the coolies and had the fourth day letting his soul catch up to him. Now, it's that kind of understanding that relates us to each other. We have this inner knowing that's there. And when we recognize it, because we're looking for it too, it it quiets us down and settles us down and lets us to become who we need to become.
That's a beautiful story.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. Yeah. Just taking that time to reconnect and restore the connection to yourself fully.
I just in passing, I think maybe that's what jet lag's all about. you know, when you think about it, we travel so far, so fast, and it takes us a couple of days to sometimes to really get settled. Maybe that's what we're doing, waiting for our souls to catch up.
Interesting. Yeah, I can imagine just on.
Hello? Hello? No,
Are
I can't hear you, Katie.
oh,
Something's
okay. Hold on.
there. We go.
Hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
One of my sisters was a flight attendant, and she flew all across the world. She flew to Asia and back all the time, and that really messed with her body in a big, big way over
Really?
time. Yeah, she did it for 30
Wow.
years, and she has really struggled with some health challenges. And I feel like that was a result of crossing so many time zones and never sleeping right. Like it was crazy what she did, and for a long time. So I'm curious about that with flight attendants, but pilots and all that.
Yeah, I know. Well, when we were taking trips around the world, I had heard from a friend of mine from India about a way that they were dealing with what they call jet lag. And the thing was that when you got to so I began using this with the people we were traveling with. When you got to the place where, like going from New York to London, okay? You get to New York, you're going to spend some time there, but if you have time that you can rest a while, take a bath that is a cup of Epsom salts and a cup of baking soda.
Okay.
and put that in the tub. If you have a tub that's in the hotel where you're going, and you sit in that tub for 15 minutes, make it as warm as you can, and you don't cross anything over. You don't cross your feet, you don't cross your arms, you just lie in the tub completely uh, straight
Right.
as you can be. And then when you get out of the tub, you take your towel and you dry yourself without crossing your arms. And so I would have my suitcase, but in the other suitcase, this is before you could travel with substances like that, you know. But with the packets that I would give to the other people in the tour group, and then we would do that. If we had a tub in our suite, we would do that, and it helped us because then we were able to move right in. Now, that would be some way, as I look back on it and think about it, it would be some way of gathering our energy into a place within our own bodies so that the energy of our body that may be working, that is our soul, or whatever, however we can explain that or try to understand it, but get that energy so that it's going in tune with what the place that we're in. And if we did that, we were able to go on and do some sightseeing that afternoon or whatever. So it was a way that it really worked for me, and it worked for a lot of the people that we worked with.
And where did you get that idea from?
A friend of mine from India,
Oh, I
she
thought
was
maybe it was.
she was a woman doctor in the American Holistic Medical Association, and she told me that. She said, you know, I don't know where she got it, but you know, it's one of these things that you share.
Yeah, that's great. So it's interesting. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with my phone and my service because normally, as we're talking, there are a bunch of people that are joining in, and I'm not seeing anybody joining in.
Ah,
So I'm not my phone, but I kind of think it might be because I switched my carriers from Verizon to T-Mobile, and I think I don't have as great a service. So that's a bummer. So if people are chiming in and they're typing in questions, I can't see them. So I just want you all to know that I'm not ignoring you, but my phone for some reason is not picking them up. So
maybe it hasn't made the New Year uh, leap.
so anyway, we're not getting any comments from our people unless John was looking on your phone on your end and he could see them. But
John, can you see them on our phone?
Can I, what?
Can you see the questions from the people on your phone?
On my
no,
phone?
it would have to be on the phone that we're speaking on. Is that your phone or Gladys's?
On my
My
phone.
No, not really.
Okay.
Because it's got, I, it would be complicated.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. Well, I'll look into it for next week. So sorry everybody if you're chiming in, we can't see it right at this moment, but we'll keep going.
Yeah. Life moves on.
Yeah.
We're not stuck. Life moves on.
Well, so on that note of you speaking with someone in Turkey tomorrow, are there any you have a retreat coming up that you're going to be part of, isn't that right?
Well, it's a continuation of what we called the Phoenix experience when we had uh, uh, our office and so on, and we started we started the living medicine concept. So it's a 4-day retreat in a beautiful place here in Arizona, and uh, we'll be advertising it within the next week or two. And if people want to look the Living Medicine retreat, it would be something that they might want to be a part of or just be interested in.
And is it going to be in person and virtual or just in person?
It's in person
Got it.
in one of the retreat centers here in Arizona.
Right.
So if there's anybody interested, get in touch with the Foundation for Living Medicine about the retreat that's coming up.
Okay, great. And maybe it's even already listed on the website.
It should be getting there.
Great.
So we're trying to get it on there, but things happen. New Year and all that.
Yep. And just continuing with all the different podcasts and whatnot that just keep coming your way.
Yeah, people that are asking for them. Yeah, amazing. And I can, aside from tomorrow, I don't know what the next day is, but it's there, and then it's the next day, and it's there.
And any thoughts of you writing a second book?
Well,
Not a
no, I can't stretch my mind that far. I have to deal with this and live through this process and then see what happens. Because honestly, I had no idea that I would be doing the kind of things I'm doing right now. And the fact of the matter is that I think this is what I came to this earth to do. So I have to, it's what I wanted to do.
right.
It's what I never expected to do, but the world is asking for it. So let's keep it going, but honestly, the times when there I'm talking to people from all around the world and actually sharing the energy that we share is like, because I see them in Instagrams or podcasts or whatever. We can see each other and talk to each other. Could you imagine such a thing happening? you know
I mean, for you, having been on the planet for 103 years, I would imagine that jump from, as we have talked before about, the announcement of your birth was in like 5 words that came across on a wire from India to the United States.
and the
And
wire had to go under the Atlantic Ocean.
now,
It wasn't like it was in the air. It was, and yes.
yeah, it's wild. And so it's really, I love that. So you just said at 103, you feel like what's happening right now is the reason why you were here for your whole life.
Right.
Think about how many times you could have given up along the way.
Oh
Because it's
my.
hard and it was and
Yeah, I could have quit when I was in first grade the second time,
yeah, yeah,
but I my dad would say, well, are you a critter? And I'd say, oh, no, no, no. Or he'd say, can you be a turtle? And the story of the turtle, let me tell you the story of this turtle. My dad and our friend Harry Dean, who was a British soldier, were out hunting in the one of the outside of one of the villages where the people were saying, please, please get this crocodile, which has been in the Ganges here, killing our people. And we have no way of dealing with it. They had no way of protecting themselves from that crocodile. And so my dad and Harry Dean went and they shot the crocodile. And when they began skinning it and doing what they had to do with it, they opened the belly and found a lot of woman's jewelry. So they knew it was the right crocodile. You know, this crocodile had been eating people. So they had that jewelry. But along with the jewelry and things, they saw a turtle. And the turtle the shell of the turtle was so white that it was just completely white. And say they thought, well, it's been in there long enough that it died. So they just put the turtle aside and went on with the work that they were doing. And all of a sudden they look over and that turtle's walking off into the jungle. And so my dad's uh, uh, comment to me was, are you going to be like a turtle that can shut out the stuff that might be killing you and just deal with the thing that keeps you alive? Or are you going to be a turtle?
Widow.
So for me, the idea that turtle was able to shut out the gastric juices from the crocodile enough that it saved its life is just like, whoa, whoa, yeah, I'll be a turtle.
Yeah, that's crazy. I, right, that just, yeah. Anyway, um, so all the times when you could have quit and said, forget it, I'm not doing it, or like when you started to write this book, well, when did you start to write this book? I mean, it was published last year, but how long in the making have you really had it in your head of, I really want to write this book?
Well, it's again one of these soul issues because I had written 5 books that were about medical things,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't. But it didn't have the soul of the message in that. So what I really wanted to do with this book was to get the essence of what I was really here for and put it into words that I needed some help doing this. Chandika was a wonderful helper who helped me with, we would talk about things and talk about things until we felt we got it right. Like it took us one day, we talked about what, how do you explain love?
Mm,
You know, and we talked about it and we up the side and down the other, and finally at the end of the day said, we've had the songs written about it, pictures drawn for all this going since the beginning of time. We've tried to put it into words and we don't have the words, because if you haven't experienced love, you don't really know what it is. It's like asking a blind man who was born blind to understand about what the color green is. There's certain things, if you haven't experienced them, you just don't know what it's going to be. So it was that kind of a yearning within me that said there's more to this than just the medical uh,
mm,
process that needs to be activated, that needs to be looked at, needs to be experienced.
right.
And so that's what I'm feeling with the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing here. It's actually reaching to other people in a way that my love for that particular person is a real thing.
So when you talk about the yearning that you were experiencing, what was it? I almost like the visual because I feel like I see things in visualization. Is like what was the strike of the match that ignited your yearning and your thoughts about wanting to do this to actually into motion?
Well, Doug Abrams, who is uh, the one who actually, I knew him since he was a young man. I knew his mother, and so on. He had been after me for a long time that he wanted to help me with writing a book, and finally, I accepted, and we began working together and got this thing going. But it took a couple of years at least. I don't know how long, but it was in process for 103 years.
Right. Him sort of not giving up on asking you, sort of nudging you
Yeah,
for you to finally say, okay, the time is now.
that's right.
And him to offer to help in the way, because he put you together with Shandika, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's so good that it's, that community just in the creation of the book that you wrote, community
Right,
there. Community was involved
right.
along the way,
Uh,
the whole time.
isn't it amazing?
Yeah, it is.
It's just awesome. We have to be open to it, and the timing has to be right. I couldn't have done this uh, in this way before the technology was available to
Right.
us. Isn't
Yes.
that something?
Yeah, when you think about all the players and
Yeah,
the timing of how everybody stepped in to help, that it was just all that, that it all synced up right at the right time, and it was like, okay, now is going. Yeah, it's so interesting when you can look back on your life or a circumstance or something and just see how it all came together. And you could never have planned it.
no, no.
We're
It,
in,
it, it it's divinely orchestrated. I have to believe that. We have to sit down and let our souls catch up to us.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like, it's also that trust and faith and sort of letting yourself fall back into the unknown, because
Right,
quantum field is full of possibility and full of things that we have no idea how it's all going to
right.
come together. We just lack.
Well, and the important thing is that if we're living our life, working, reaching for the light and the and and the love that is part of life, then we'll find it. But if we're not reaching for it, if we're just floundering around trying to find it, but we don't know what it is that we're looking for, we'll find all kinds of confusing things. And it's like the 5 L's, it took me a long time to be able to express these 5 L's because I was wanting to be able to say something that I could talk about and not just try to understand. So let me just go through those 5 L's again because I think it's worthwhile. The first two are life and love. They have to be one. It's like the shell in a pyramid, a seed, and it can't do anything until love activates it. Love in the way of water and air and so on. And then it softens the shell, and the seed can be creating, we begin activating the energy of the universe that is within it. So these two go together like a pregnancy. You know,
Mhm.
the baby is there manifesting with the mother until it takes its first breath, and then it manifests its own personality. So it's that life process that goes on. Then the third L is laughter. Laughter without love is cruel. It's mean. It causes families to fall apart. It causes wars. It's cold. But laughter with love is happiness and joy. It makes you dance with joy. The fourth L is the labor. Labor without love is, oh, I gotta go to work. Too many diapers. This is just too hard. Life just is too hard. But labor with love is bliss. It's why a painter paints. It's why you do what you do. It's why I do what I do. It's what makes life real in our lives. It's actually activating the whole thing. Why my dad sat down with the coolies was so that he could feel that. And the fifth one is listening. Listening without love is empty sound. The clanging gong or just empty sound. But listening with love is understanding. And so as we begin to understand and work with these 5 L's, it begins to um, put some um, context around what it is that we're living our lives for this time.
Yeah, it's just great. It's great how you put it together, and you put it together in a way that's just concise, and it's an easy message, and clearly it's a message that is getting all around the world that people really want to hear, and they're very happy to just take it in like a breath of fresh air, and embody it and try to work that through in their own lives.
And the amazing thing is that there isn't one race or one language that is different. I mean, we human beings are all feeling these things the same way. We just have our own words that put it together and can understand what's going on.
Right, right. Well, I know that the universe is very grateful that you have at it. Your perseverance and your willingness to just keep learning and growing and is remarkable and such an inspiration to everyone.
Yeah, and you got it started, Katie.
Well, that's when, like I said, when you take a bird's eye view and you look at how this whole thing came
Yeah,
together, and you never planned how it did come together. And so it is just fascinating how I came back into your life, and yeah,
yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
Well, you've
yeah.
always been an inspiration. Once I read your book the first time, which was, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago, um, I reached out to you then. I was so inspired by what you had done
Uh,
and life that you had lived. And I did write you a letter, and you wrote me back, and I, for the life of me, wish I could find that letter that you wrote me back, because it was quite some time ago, and I was so grateful that you wrote back to
uh,
me. Not even would have remembered me, but I know that you would have remembered Casey, my sister Casey.
yeah. Uh, Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it's what do I want to say? It's inspiring to think about the possibility that exists for all of us. And
Right.
even when it's so hard and it's so complicated and life seems just like it's going nowhere, and like you said, there are wars and there is disease and there are really horrible things that are happening everywhere, and but what's possible through all of that is love.
Yeah. Yeah. And no matter what modality you use, if it's used with love, it works.
Right, right, right. And that is the cool thing, because even when people ask me about chiropractic, and I'm sure they've asked you the same question with, medicine. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
chiropractic work, and does that form work? And the cool thing about it is it all works. It just depends on who's delivering it and how the other person is receiving it. Right?
Right.
There's
Right.
if the intention and there's love behind it and all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
All about what you do.
That's right. And
Yeah.
and no matter who we are, where we are, and what's going on in life, our own personal life is what's we have to keep in focus and in the light, and
Mm-hmm.
not let it get into the darkness. Um, uh, it takes understanding that life has to be reaching for the light. The picture of the turtle. When you think about that turtle in the crocodile's belly, I don't know how long it was in there, but it was long enough that it should be dead.
Yeah.
It wasn't dead. It didn't die because its life force kept going, and it got rescued. You know,
Yeah.
uh, Somehow the whole process of the universe was able to have that turtle walk away when my dad was in the process of helping the people in that village to save their lives. He saved the life of a turtle, and that turtle accepted that and walked off. The life has to move, and it has to move where you are. And if you keep going and don't get uh, sort of sidetracked about maintaining your life, then it goes on.
Interesting. Yeah. That turtle, the idea that, like you said, how long that turtle was in there, who knows?
Who
Yeah,
knows?
but when you think about, if you're in a bad spot or you're in a tough situation, like the human spirit is so resilient. And I know that we were talking about a turtle, but still, the resiliency of the human spirit is
Right.
amazingly, and just knowing that there is there is hope, there is help, there is love, there is something to look for, a grain of truth out there to hold on to, like you keep talking about, finding that the
Right.
humanity.
Right. And you know what, Katie? All living creatures and beings on this planet are here for a purpose. We each are here to live as long as we are supposed to live, whatever the pattern is that we came in on. And if we stay true to that, keeping our life moving and keeping life so that it's joyful and loving and ongoing, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Well, here's to that. So, heading into the beginning of a new year,
Yeah.
I just think that that is a beautiful thing to keep thinking about and keep, you know, in our hearts and close to our hearts, so that we can always remember. You know, you're just such a guiding light. It's so beautiful. Like, all we have to do is think about you and go, okay, I can do that, and she's doing that.
Yeah. And that we're all one human race,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So it's just lovely. So Happy New Year to all of you. I again am so sorry that I cannot see everybody chiming in this time. Not sure what's going on with my phone, but we will have that corrected by next week. So
That's because we're turtles and we'll get it done.
that's, so I think it is time to sign off. I have to go to my new office and see some patients this afternoon, so that's exciting.
Great. How lovely. How
So
lovely.
you have an amazing week, rest of your week, and have fun with your conversation with the person from Turkey tomorrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And John, thanks again for always getting us on.
Yeah.
And
All righty.
all right, love to you
Love
both.
you.
Okay,
Love everybody.
yes, sending lots of love to everyone who's here and playing this game with us. We love it. All right,
Absolutely. I love it.
see you next
Nice
week.
on the body call.
Same to you.